Hey guys, Steve from Gym Hub. I'm a gym owner myself in Sydney. I have been for the last 16 years. And as a business mentor, I also love the opportunity to share some ideas. So today's topic's called How to Reduce the Time Members Are on Suspension. I've got a little document I can share with you for this one. The reason I wanted to touch on this topic is because if you actually reduce the amount of time people are on hold, you find that your members train more often. That consistency generally leads to a better result. When your members get a better result, you tend to get more referrals and you don't have to spend as much money on things like Facebook and Google. So that's always nice. You find that if your staff have more consistent hours and your staff have more consistent revenue and wages, that they'll actually stay longer. And with staff retention, it obviously means there's less time and effort to go on to healthy people or start recruiting again, start interviewing, start onboarding a trainer, teaching them all your things, which is quite time consuming. Last of all, the reason I think it's worthwhile getting really good at actually reducing the amount of time your members are on suspension is so that you can actually earn some more money, pay down the debt in your business, potentially, go on a holiday or out for a nice dinner. It should improve your lifestyle. Potentially your goal is to own your own home, and you can do that when you're actually managing this process well. If we looking on the sheet, I guess I sum up the challenge that almost every one of our gym members is going to ask to take like 1 to 4 weeks off for different reasons during the year. And that could be because of holidays, it could be because of injury, they might be sick or have the flu, they might have a busy work deadline and they're sort of asking to stop training because of that. And what generally happens is they'll send you a quick message via email and say, hey, can I cancel or can I stop? So I just want to touch on the biggest mistakes in this area and how you can actually, most importantly, how you can actually fix it to reduce the amount of time people are on hold. So the big one I see is that we actually respond via email instead of actually demonstrating good customer service, instead of actually jumping on the phone. It's too easy just to treat it like an admin process. So you might have someone that says, hey, I need to cancel. They send you an email. And by picking up the phone and asking, hey, how's everything going? Tell me what's going on. What you can find through conversation is often that person doesn't actually need to quit. They just need to actually put their training on hold temporarily. Number two, the holiday suspension. What I find is someone will often round up the amount of time they're taking a break. So they'll say, hey, please pause my payments via email. They'll say, stop my payments for 4 weeks. But when you call them and you say, hey, I heard you're going on a great holiday, tell me where you're heading. What you often find out is they're only away for like 21 days, which is not 4 weeks. So if you have the conversation with every person that actually goes on holidays and you reduce down the amount of time that their program's on hold for, it starts to make a big difference. Some people are going to get a sore back. Some people are going to hurt their knees or get injured. And what they'll ask to do via email is, can I just stop my training for a moment? But by picking up the phone, often we can actually help them to understand that we can modify their training program. So they might have just had like an ACL injury and some surgery. And what we can recommend is some upper body training. We can recommend that we can keep them strong through the core, potentially get them on a ski erg or something that's not going to aggravate the knee. And that comes with just experience from being in the fitness industry. It's not always as obvious to someone, our members. The sickness one, I think it's really like when you feel your sickest, you want to cancel everything. You want to cancel work, you want to cancel the gym. You don't actually feel like getting outside of the house. But what you see with athletes is they generally do, reduce their schedule. So they'll skip training, they'll stay in bed, they'll get more water, they'll take some vitamins, and they'll give their body a chance to actually recover. But what happens in most cases, after about 3 days, that person is able to participate, do a little bit of exercise at a lighter intensity. So by touching base over the phone and saying, hey, sorry to hear you're sick, what we can often do is avoid like a 2 week suspension or something like that. Give them maybe the rest of the week to sort of rest up and recuperate, and encourage them to get back into the facility at about 50% the following week. The last one is a big one. I saw a report from MindBody saying that up to 14% of your profits can be eliminated by being too flexible and not actually being on point when over Christmas. So we're talking about that sort of end of December, start of January, where almost everyone has a different routine with work. Maybe their kids are on school holidays, and a lot of them ask to stop training. Maybe they ask to stop training because you're closed. Maybe they ask to stop training because they just go into socializing mode, and they're out at parties with friends and things like that. So what we like to do is actually educate our members. We explain that on average, most Australians and New Zealanders will put on a couple of kilos over that period. So you go from, a routine where you're at because of work or because of like the gym or whatever, you're exercising and you're moving, and you go to doing very little, like sitting at a table for 4 hours for a Christmas lunch or something. So you get quite sedentary. The other thing we tend to do as well at this time of the year is increase the amount of food and alcohol that we drink. So our surplus calories start to build up, and therefore we're putting on weight. So we like to educate our members that that's really, really normal. For that reason, you definitely want to keep exercising. During the Christmas period, we use things like Christmas parties to keep them engaged and keep them involved in the studio late into December. We do like a fitness challenge. So it's not body composition related, but we get them involved in small challenges on the bike or the ski erg or the rower, things that will encourage them and sort of gamify the process of keeping fit. It's great at this time of the year to think outdoors as the weather gets a little bit warmer, maybe come up with like a fun sort of outdoor session. And like welcome back workouts in January with accountability to stay on track are really, really important. So just to summarize, there's a few different types of things to handle here. And if you get a little bit better at each of these, you'll actually be making more money and not only helping yourself, but your members are training more. When they train more, they get better results. When they get better results, they refer more people. When you get referrals, you don't have to spend as much money on Facebook on ads. When your staff are actually have a more consistent income, they hang around longer because they're not stressed with where the next paycheck's going to come from. And yeah, as an owner, it's okay to make a little bit of money. That MindBody statistic, like it's pretty scary. If your gym's one that's only making a 20% profit, none of us, yourself and myself, we can't afford in our gyms to be losing 14% at Christmas of that 20% profit, let alone like just taking a hit throughout the year for things like holidays, injuries, sickness, etc. So I just want to sort of circle back. Other tips that I sort of have, particularly for those guys around Christmas, make sure that your members have a goal for after Christmas, like a fun run or something that they're actually training for. In the back of their head, when they get to Boxing Day, when they're sort of thinking about, just settling into the lounge for a week on watching Netflix, if they've got some reason to get back off the lounge, get back into the gym and stay active, it's so much easier for you to maintain your normal type of sort of membership capacity and hours. So they need a goal. Number two, make sure they've got a clear date. So if you do suspend them for a week, make sure they know when your payments resume, and make sure they've got, the third one is make sure they've got their first booking back in. So if you do have to pause, maybe they're flying to New York for Christmas, like that's pretty cool. We don't want to be like a problem to them. We don't want to argue with them, but we don't need to suspend for 3 weeks if they're only away for 2 weeks. If they are away for 2 weeks, make sure they've got a goal, a running goal or something cool that they're working on while they're away to keep them active and definitely gives them motivation to get back into the gym as soon as possible. They've got a billing restart date and they've actually got a date for their first session with you. So I hope that sounds helpful. On the worksheet, you can see that the solution around this is that email, despite good intention, it actually sounds like too cold. It's too salesy. And instead, the tone that you actually want, the tone that I want in my gym is to sound caring and supportive. So pick up the phone, ask them questions, see if you can actually tailor a solution to them instead of just doing the generic 4-week or 8-week sort of suspension, which is lazy and it's crazy expensive to run your business like that. I would recommend having some dialogue around, what to say. If someone rings up to cancel or something like that, I would recommend some type of like scripting or wording and do some role playing with your staff. I think if you see on the worksheet, I've got an example there. Imagine Nicole's just emailed in saying she wants to cancel. In this scenario, I'd say, hey, Nicole, it's Steve from Rush Cutters Health. I got your email. Is everything okay? So I like to start the conversation by just introducing myself, and I get to it really quick. I like to check in and before I make any decisions around what might help or what this person might need from me as an owner or as a manager of the gym, I just ask a nice open-ended question. Whatever the answer, okay, I understand that. Look, and if they haven't actually completed their contract, I might say, look, you've completed 3 months of your 9-month agreement, but something I can do to help you out is suspend your payments and training for up to 1 month to get back on top of things. Now, if they're part of like a group training, like your facility does group training, or if they have a personal trainer, that's where I would say something like, tell me, does your trainer know that you're taking a break yet? Okay, no worries. I'll have a chat to him or her today and I'll let them know what we're doing. I also like to remind them of like how this conversation and taking a pause affects their payments and stuff. So I might say, look, because your last payment went through on Sunday the 15th or whatever it was, you actually have another 9 days access to the facility before you go. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Well, I'm glad I could help. We want to see you take a nice rest and then get back into healthy eating and exercise routine next month. We'll talk soon. So there's a little bit of a framework there to reply to people who maybe email in asking to cancel who are within minimum term. I think this conversation isn't that hard. I think in some cases we can be a little bit flexible. Maybe they need to get to a different class. Maybe they need a new trainer. Maybe they need some help with nutrition. But emailing back is our biggest error and our biggest problem there. To finish on, guys, I just wanted to sort of bring some of the realities to you. So imagine, for an example, if we do the numbers, let's say you've got a group training gym and a pretty average one that's doing, maybe you've got 150 members. You and I know there's other group training gyms with 400 members, but let's just take an example for an average one, because most group training gyms would have 150. Let's say you're charging $50 a week. If each of those 150 people take 1 week off, that's worth $7,500 in revenue for you. If, as well as taking like a little holiday one, they also do like a sickness one or an injury or a work one, if they take 4 weeks off, that's worth $30,000 in revenue for you. So hopefully, just by checking in on today's video, you can see this is crucial that we do a better service-based job when we're actually helping clients when they request a cancel or a suspension. Stop the email. It sounds rubbish. It sounds like salesy. It sounds cold-hearted. Instead, pick up the phone, see what you can do to help the person. Make sure it's actually it's tailored to suiting them. And each time you help someone, it's worth $50 here and $100 there and $100 here, and they all add up to thousands and thousands of dollars at the end of the year. So I'm passionate about that. If I can get my trainers, my members just training a bit more often and being in the gym, if I can keep them accountable as the fitness professional to exercising and eating healthy, I know that they're going to enjoy the service we provide and I think respect the relationship we have, because that's what they come to us for. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you found that useful. Again, the topic today was how do we reduce? We're not talking about canceling and getting, stopping people from going on holidays or anything like that, but we're just talking about how do we reduce the length of time that people are on suspension, or how do we change a cancel into a temporary suspension for the reasons that we listed at the start. I hope you found that useful. I'm Steve from Gym Hub. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.